Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Jackson Show. I'm your host, Jackson Solomon, and today we are going to be walking through my predictions for the NFL season this year. It's been an episode that everyone's been asking me about, so if you're hopefully you're ready to hear everything that I gotta say for the next couple of minutes. So like, comment, and subscribe down below. And let's get into the video. We're going to start with the divisional standings. Starting in the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills, 13-4, winning the AFC East and the number one overall seed in the AFC. What do I got to say about the Bills right now? The Bills are a good football team. And the defense is certainly going to get better. They certainly have to be better. New defensive coordinator. You got, new guys on the back end. Preseason, they didn't look very good, but that's just preseason. Could be a big-time overreaction. Plus, the rest of this division is not really competitive. Toughest games. You do have some tough games on the schedule, but honestly, you can overcome those, and you can sweep your division, get to 13 wins, head into the playoffs with the bye, and that'd be an exceptional season for the Buffalo Bills. The question is, can they make it to the Super Bowl? And I will get to playoff predictions after. Moving on to the next team, the Miami Dolphins at 9-8. Not much to say about the Dolphins, but not much to really say about the Miami Dolphins. This is a make or break year for Mike McDaniels. And I feel like 500 or above it is going to be really good for the Dolphins. Hopefully Tua stays healthy. And this is kind of with Tua as the quarterback. We're going to see a statistical decline from Tyreek Hill, and there's a good chance he might be traded by next offseason, considering that he's going to need a new contract coming up in a couple of years, or maybe after this year. I'm not really sure. So, but the Dolphins are not going to be perfect. I don't have them winning the division or anything. This is realistic expectation, 9-8. This is kind of between the ceiling and between the floor. The ceiling for this team is you win the division, you win at least one playoff game. The floor is you're drafting in the top 5, your head coach and GM get fired, you trade Tyreek Hill before the draft so you can get an extra first-round pick, and you're picking in the first round. You got 2 first-round picks, and there's a good chance that you're selecting a new wide receiver or a quarterback. That's the floor right there. And that'd be the expectation right now. So the expectation is get to at least 9 wins, and this is a good season. The Jets, I have them at 6-11. What to say about the Jets? Well, this is the first year of a multi-year rebuild with Aaron Glenn, and there's got to be more patience than expected. I think 6 wins for Aaron Glenn is very good. You don't have a genuine, or I won't say a real quarterback, because Justin Fields is somewhat decent. He's proven himself to an aspect, but what I mean to say is you need a great quarterback. And so, in my opinion, you need a better quarterback, in my opinion. And so, the Jets, either you're really good this year, you get to 8-9 wins, you're potentially knocking on the door of the playoff spot, or you're drafting inside the top 5, you're picking a quarterback, and you're moving on from Justin Fields. And I honestly think that would be a good thing. That's a great thing right now for the Jets, is selecting a quarterback. Because it didn't work out with Zach Wilson, but if you pick inside that top 5, there's a really good chance you're going to get a quarterback, although I do not have them inside the top 5. I have the Patriots at 5-12, and this just goes back to the Aaron Glenn thing, where Mike Vrabel is going to get more patience than Aaron Glenn will, and that is, in my opinion, 100% factual. Aaron Glenn is not going to get as much patience because the Jets have had the longest playoff drought in North American sports history. And I think with the whole Patriots situation was this is the guy that the Patriots wanted all along. And this is the guy that they should have drafted in the first place. Or this is the guy that they should have hired in the first place. And so I think last year they really wanted to bring in Mike Vrabel with that top 5 pick. They wanted Mike Vrabel to select the guy that Mike V wanted, and he wasn't because Jerod Mayo was head coach. He drafted the future of the franchise, and I feel like the organization could just kind of let him go. If you get to 9 wins, that's a successful season, and maybe they didn't need Mike Vrabel. They would have kept Jerod Mayo potentially, but he didn't do great last year. They were still picking inside, I think, the top 10, and so they fired Jerod Mayo and drafted Joe Milton. They drafted Will Campbell this year. That was the guy Vrabes wanted. And so now they got their guy. And I think the Kraft family and the GM trust in Mike Vrabel to kind of do their thing. They're going to win a lot of football games in New England. First year, though, probably not going to be that year. I think you need at least 3 years to show off your skills as an NFL head coach and kind of prove yourself. And that's kind of the leeway that I give NFL head coaches. And, some coaches don't get 3 years. They usually get 1 or 2, which is very unfortunate. But I think that's, you want a successful head coach. I get it, he won 2 games the first year, but, we still got to be patient with him. We still got to give him time. That was the Dan Campbell situation where Dan Campbell got hired. He didn't win very much in his first year. He drafted well. Second year, he's developing. And then the third year comes where you win the division, you win 2 playoff games, and then year 4, you're the number 1 seed. Most wins in franchise history with 15 wins. So that is kind of the model, in my opinion, for good head coaches is success within the first 3 years of you being an NFL head coach. Mike Vrabel, I think, can get there. I think he will get there with the Patriots. But year 1 has to be, hey, this team is on the rise. And 5 wins is definitely an improvement from what they had last year. So I will take that. And I don't know if many of the Patriots fans will, but, comment down below what you think the Patriots will do. Okay, AFC North. I have the Ravens winning the division at 12-5. They're the 3rd seed in the AFC. This is the first division where we have another team making the wild card. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. What else is there to say? When we get to awards, I'm going to talk more about the Ravens. But Baltimore is a very good football team. They've got the MVP runner-up. And so, they look very good. They're going to be very good this year. Yeah, I like the Ravens to win the AFC North. I think it's their division as long as Lamar stays healthy, and he's been healthy for the past 2 seasons, although he did have a little injury in, practice, but he's fine, so he should play in all the games. I don't know who the Ravens' backup quarterback is. That's the only thing that really should be of concern because we don't know who the backup is, so there's a good chance that Baltimore doesn't make the playoffs if Lamar Jackson gets injured. But I don't think he will. I think he'll stay healthy. He'll carry this team to 12 wins. The 5 losses are all against good teams, except for maybe the Browns. So, yeah, got Baltimore. At number 2 in the AFC North, I have the Cincinnati Bengals 11-6. The Bengals could have won the division, but Baltimore's just better. These 6 games are versus good opponents. It's not like they had a couple of trap games or whatever. So, but yeah, Cincinnati, I have them at 11-6, and really there's true potential here. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase both got paid. They're both on big-time contracts. And so, you got the Bengals are going to be up there. The only question I really have is the offensive line, maybe the defense, and the secondary of the defense. But uh, why play defense when your offense could score 50 points every game? Plus, I have them at 6 losses as well because of their annual early losing streak. I think that continues this year. They just can't get things going until the month of October hits, and then they just lock in and go crazy, go on a winning streak and stuff like that. So that's kind of why I have the Bengals at 11 wins as well. The Steelers are 9-8, and this is really the floor for the Steelers every year. And the expectation is they're going to go above or close to 500. And I have a theory, and my theory about the Steelers is if Mike Tomlin finishes below 500, he will be fired. And I know it seems like that's impossible for a guy like Mike Tomlin, but it does seem like it's impossible. Yeah, but the Steelers understand that they are one of the most historic franchises all time. You're tied for the most Super Bowls ever. So if our legacy is jeopardized by one season under 500, we're going to need a new head coach. So Mike Tomlin has taken them to the line so many times that this is really the floor of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The other thing I have to say about the Steelers, well, I got a couple things to say, but that was the biggest one. This group is led by veterans. You have 3 potential corner back number ones. That's fantastic. That's incredible, dude. That's fantastic. Amazing. So, but 2 of them are kind of up there in age. I do like Jalen Ramsey, but he's up there in age. I do like Darius Slay, but he's up there in age. Joey Porter's a dog, but he's up there in age. So, Joey Porter's not old, but, secondary, there's a good chance to get torched. Steelers don't make the playoffs, and then the Browns are the last seed. I think the Browns have to know who their starting quarterback is at the end of this year. Whether it's Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders, or they have 2 first-round picks, and I don't have them being really good, so there's a good chance I have them picking inside the top 5, but there's a good chance you take Lenore Sellers there's a good chance you take Lenore Sellers if the teams in front of you don't already take a guy like Lenore Sellers or Arch Manning, or I want to say DJ Legway, but I don't think he's eligible. Thomas Castellanos. No, he's probably a late round draft pick, but yeah, I think Cleveland, it gets to a point where 2 years ago you were contending. Now, after that incredible season where you were contending, the Deshaun Watson experiment has not worked out. There's a good chance that you are going to cut him. That is a real possibility that the Browns cut him. And he is not going to be your future quarterback. So you have 2 young guys on the roster. One was picked in the 3rd. One was picked in the 5th. You have to figure out which one of those is going to be your future quarterback. Good chance it's Dylan Gabriel because longer deal. And he was the earlier draft pick. He had more success in college. So there's a good chance it's going to be Dylan Gabriel, but don't count out Shedeur Sanders. There's a good chance it could also be him. The Browns are heading into this year knowing that Joe Flacco is not their starting quarterback. They trade away Kenny Pickett because they know he's not their starting quarterback either. So one of the 2, or maybe someone in the draft, is going to be a Brown neyou year. So you got to keep your eyes out on the Browns, see what they're doing, see where they are in the mock drafts, who they have, who you have picking them. But because, because of, because they have to know who their quarterback is heading into next year. The rebuild is supposed to end next year because you just paid Myles Garrett superstar money. So he's in Cleveland, and honestly, this could end up being a Calvin Johnson situation where the superstar is good, he's earning superstar money, but he's never going to win a Super Bowl or a championship because he's on a bad team. And the Browns don't want to trade Myles Garrett because he was your first overall pick. He's your franchise player. He's been there for a while. So you definitely don't want to trade him, but you cannot continue to lose like you are right now. You can't keep that up. So Browns at 3-14. I do have them picking at the top 5. We'll get to the draft order later. But yeah, AFC South is an interesting division because we have kind of a Rams-Seahawks situation from last year. You'll figure out what I'm talking about when I kind of break it down. But the Texans are the winners of the South. And there's a good chance that this division goes back to the Jaguars because I also have them finishing at 10-7. So the Texans and the Jaguars both finished 10-7. And this is what I mean when I say we have a Rams-Seahawks kind of situation where the Rams last year, I think they finished with 11 or 12 wins, and the Seahawks finished with 10, but they were eliminated from the playoffs because the Commanders and the Packers both got to 10 wins first, and strength of schedule, or there's a tiebreaker involved or something like that. So, or actually, I think it was just because those two teams got 10 wins. So the Jaguars are going to have a good year this year. 10-7, 9-8, really the ceiling for this team. There's a chance that they win the South with the Texans' average offensive line. Not going to call them bad. Average offensive line. And they're bad defense. Below average defense. Although Derek Stingley and Will Anderson, both really good players. Christian Harris I like. So it's a good chance that, the Texans win the division just solely off of offense, but there's also a small chance that the Jaguars win it. Now, I don't know why the Jaguars I do know why the Jaguars don't make the playoffs. I don't understand how they're in second place if they have, 10 wins with the Texans. It must have been a tiebreaker I used on the website I used with the schedule predictor. So there definitely is a tiebreaker involved. But yeah. Colts, I have finishing 6-11. You ride the Daniel Jones experience. This is what you're going to get. 1-year contract has a chance to take Colts to the playoffs, but I don't think he does. I did the predictions earlier in the year or early in the summer and had the Colts around 8 or 9 wins or something like that. Maybe they were lower, but this is a different Colts team, and that was the point I was trying to make. This is a completely different Colts team with Daniel Jones at the helm. Obviously, we are not going to see Daniel Jones make the same types of throws Anthony Richardson made. That's why maybe the win total goes down a lot. Because unlike Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones does not have a rocket arm. He has incredible mobility and ability to hand the ball off to the superstar running back standing next to or behind him. So the Colts kind of fell off a big-time pedestal, in my opinion. So they're not going to be the best this year. I don't think they compete for the division, but they are going to be somewhat solid. I don't remember if they have any big-time upsets, but they are going to be 6-11, somewhat decent, stuff like that. So Titans, and finally the Titans at the last place division. I have them at 3 wins. What to say about this team? They have the weapons, definitely. They don't have the offensive line or the defense. And so, this is year 2 of Brian Callahan, and we're going to talk about Brian Callahan maybe getting fired. And I don't think he's going to get fired because you just drafted what you want to be your franchise quarterback. And franchise quarterbacks don't benefit from new head coaches or new offensive coordinators, just like Justin Fields didn't benefit from that in Chicago. So, Brian Callahan cannot get fired. I don't think you can fire Brian Callahan because, because of Cam Ward. You like Cam Ward? Okay, he stays if you want. Callahan stays if you want to keep Cam Ward. You can't get rid of the offensive coordinator, especially if there's something there. If Cam doesn't really click with the OC and they're always fighting and practicing, complaining about each other, then there's a reason to maybe get rid of the OC because, hey, the quarterback just got there, man. You got to fit the system around him because he's the player on the field. But also, they just don't mix well together or match well together or something like that. It won't work with it won't work if Cam likes the QB and stuff like that. It can't work. So you've got to trust in your head coach. You have to trust that this system and this quarterback is that they're going to come through. They're going to come through and kind of just show some sort of potential. This is kind of a Patriot situation, which is ironic because Mike Vrabel also coached the Titans for a little bit. So, quarterback, you can't get rid of the head coach. You can't do it. Especially, if you wanted to fire your head coach, who you just hired last year, before the draft, before you drafted Cam Ward, that would have been the time. You cannot do it after this year or the year after that or the year after that. You have to give Cam Ward some time to develop and get used to the system that he's playing in. You can't hire a new head coach with a completely different system. You can't hire a Bill Belichick or a Nick Saban or anything like that. You have to stick with Brian Callahan. So, technically, what I'm saying is the Titans, you cannot fire Brian Callahan for at least 3 years. And unless Cam Ward says otherwise, you cannot fire Brian Callahan. Let's move on to the AFC West. Okay, Chiefs win the division at 13 wins, second seed in the AFC playoff picture. This is, I'm sure if you picked up, this is the only division with multiple teams making the postseason. So let's start off with the Chiefs. Travis Kelce says he's more focused than ever, which is ironic because I think a month after he said that, he was engaged to the world's biggest pop star that we've seen, or one of the world's biggest music stars right now. I would say kind of Tupac or maybe Michael Jackson would be the others, but I don't know how well they were known internationally like Taylor Swift. So, but yeah, Travis Kelce's being ironic. Patrick Mahomes locked in. Also, did you guys see the clip where Mahomes is talking about some of the guys don't know where Sao Paulo is? Dude, what? Focus on the game, man. We'll give you the geometry lesson later, but 13 wins. You only lose to good teams. No trap games. Nothing like that. There's some competition in this division. I think they'll overcome it. Mahomes and the Chiefs. I know a lot of people don't like them. I know a lot of people think the Chiefs are just annoying in their own right, but Kansas City, until we get rid of the Reed and Mahomes kind of thing, I think then, maybe the Chiefs era will end. But in my opinion, and this is in my opinion, people hated the Patriots because they won all the time. People hate the Chiefs because they're just so consistent that their team never gets the opportunity. It's like Bills fans hate the Chiefs because, yes, there's a rivalry. Just like Steelers fans hate the Patriots because there's a rivalry built there. But other football fans, they just hate the Chiefs and the Patriots because there's success there. And they understand that there's greatness in that situation. And because there's greatness in that situation and your team's is not experiencing greatness right now, there's a lot of hate being thrown that direction. So I can understand, I don't like the Chiefs. I don't like the Cowboys for a plethora of reasons. You want to know? Come ask me. But I don't like the Cowboys for a plethora of reasons. And none of it relates to them being successful at all because they just haven't been successful. So there are logical reasons. I'm also a Chargers fan, so I don't like the Raiders. That's for sure. And, there's a rivalry there between the Chiefs, Chargers, and the Raiders. Not really Chargers, Chiefs. I don't really see that as a rivalry game. I just see it as two really good football teams playing in a really good football game. That's what I see Chargers, Chiefs as. Chargers, Raiders, well, yeah, that's an old-fashioned rivalry. Two teams that used to play in L.A. The Raiders moved to Vegas. There's still some hatred there, so we're going to go to the Black Hole or the Death Star, whatever they call Allegiant Stadium, and go beat them. And if they come to our place, we're going to do the same thing. So that's kind of a rivalry. Chiefs-Chargers isn't a rivalry. It's hatred because of success. And literally everybody I see go on podcasts and all these football players talking about, I hate the Patriots, but I understand how great they were. You hated Tom Brady. You hate Patrick Mahomes and apparently Travis Kelce because he's dating Taylor Swift. You guys got to have a life, guys. Let's relax. But the point I'm trying to make is Chiefs are having success. We cannot hate on success. I get it. I wasn't a huge fan of the Patriots dynasty. Now that was my grandfather, but he understood how good they were, and he helped me understand that, we may not like this team, but this team's pretty good. So, like it or not, the Chiefs are a good football team. We just hate that they have so much success. Rant over. Next team, Broncos. They're the 5 seed in the AFC. First wild card. Not the first one I'm mentioning, but they are the first wild card team. They're the 5 seed basically. I got nothing to say. The defense is real, in my opinion. I trust in Denver defense. If Denver's defense let me down, if the Chargers finish with a better record than the Broncos, I'll be surprised. I might not act like I'm surprised, but I'll be surprised. Okay. So, and also the system is real. Like what Sean Payton did for Drew Brees, what he's doing now for Bo Nix, what he did for Russ before Russ left. The system is real. Quarterbacks, and it's not often you say this, but quarterbacks can go into a situation and be really good and just ball out. Like, that's kind of what happened with Drew Brees. Signs to the Saints, Sean Payton's head coach, and they go to, I don't know how many NFC championship games, but they won a Super Bowl together. And so they're just really good. Really good. Same thing applies for the Broncos. They weren't succeeding. They brought in their own kind of version of the quarterback whisperer, and he does his thing. And it's not a dig on guys that are defensive-minded head coach like Aaron Glenn and Sean McDermott, and DeMeco Ryans and Mike Vrabel, but the offensive-minded head coaches are places where quarterbacks want to go. McVay, McConnell, Shanahan. Those are places you want to go. I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know what type of head coach Dan Campbell is. I don't know if he's offensive or defensive. He is a type of head coach that you want to play for because he's just a tough knuckles. He's just going to be straight with you. He's a guy's guy. That's the kind of head coach I think Dan Campbell is. But back to the point I was trying to make. Bo Nix has had success. He is going to be really good. He's going to take the Broncos to the playoffs. Hopefully win them a playoff game. Third place is the Chargers. I have the Chargers in third place in my own division. And I'm sure some people are going to be like, oh, he's going to go on about how Justin Herbert's this great quarterback and he's going to win MVP and this and that. Or you're not saying that. You're like, this guy's a Chargers fan. Whatever. I'm just going to skip through this part. But I'm actually not going to say much about the Chargers except for the secondary is something you want to pick on. So if you're talking ball with a friend and you're like, we're playing the Chargers this week, you should be like, hey, your team should throw the ball a lot because the Chargers secondary is not that good. But you should also tell them to watch out for Omarion Hampton and actually Omarion Hampton because Najee Harris hasn't been practicing. He just started practicing with the Chargers this week. Watch out for Omarion Hampton and Justin Herbert, good quarterback. I expect Jim Harbaugh and those guys to do good things. I also have the Chargers making the playoffs as well. Don't expect anything less from Jim Harbaugh in his second season. So, kind of talking Kalen DeBoer in his second season. How about Jim Harbaugh in his second season, huh? He took the Niners to a Super Bowl? Question mark? So, similar dynamic. He has the coordinators he wants, and hopefully he'll be good enough to take the team to Super Bowl. Okay, I'm done talking about the Chargers. I'm going to talk about the Raiders. 5-12 is how I have the Raiders. I have them last place in the AFC West. What do I say about the Raiders? Well, Geno Smith really isn't a franchise quarterback. He's just a guy that Pete Carroll's familiar with. So you trade for him, get him out there and stuff like that. He's not really your franchise guy. You could, I could see I could see the Raiders definitely drafting a franchise quarterback in the next 2 years. Maybe trade out of the first round so you can acquire some trade acquisitions so you can draft Ryan Williams. All right, I said quarterback. I don't know, man. Maybe Arch Manning. I don't think he's going to declare for the draft this year, although I have brought his name up a couple of times. We're talking about other teams, so maybe not. Also, Ashton Genty's going to be a dog this year. He's not going to have beast mode numbers, but he's going to be a focal point of the offense. Jacoby Myers is holding out, which isn't great. And just like that, I forgot the other Raiders receivers. So, after I'm done recording this episode, I'm going to go figure out who else Geno Smith is going to throw the ball to outside of Ashton Genty. Okay, we're going to move on to the NFC. Our first division in the NFC will be the NFC East. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of people's in the Lions and, the great state of Michigan don't like the Cowboys for good reason. A lot of people don't. But you know what? I got a Cowboys buddy out there. This is for you. Cowboys win the division at 10-7. They're followed by the Eagles, who also finished 10-7. So let's start with the Cowboys. Not much has changed with Dallas. That was going to be kind of the thing where I was kind of justifying why I put Dallas where they are. I'm not going to do that anymore because Micah Parsons got traded. So there's really no justification. It wouldn't make sense to try and say that nothing has changed when the reality is everything has changed. A lot has changed for the Dallas Cowboys. So let's start with what has changed. Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks. And Jerry Jones says that there's a chance that he could flip those 2 first-round picks for another player. I'd say Myles Garrett, but Jerry Jones likes his money, so probably not. Maybe Josh Hines-Allen, maybe not. I don't know if Jacksonville would trade him away. So, yeah, that is the biggest change of the offseason. Also, some changes that they had in the backfield. They had changed their running back room, Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders. They also changed, they got a new wide receiver 2, George Pickens, to play alongside CeeDee Lamb. And that's maybe the biggest change of all. Also trading for Joe Milton this offseason. They didn't bring back Cooper Rush, who will forever be remembered with his Linsanity run. So, honestly, with the Dallas Cowboys, a lot has changed. I don't know what Brian Schottenheimer or the offensive coordinator's philosophy is for the Dallas Cowboys, but hopefully it revolves around throwing the football. Because when you have skill position When you have two really good wide receivers, you cannot afford to waste that talent. I am a little surprised that George Pickett's wearing 3 instead of 13, but it's cool or whatever. I don't really have much else to say except for the defense really makes this season. Offensive-minded head coach for the last couple of years with Mike McCarthy and Brian Schottenheimer. So this is your opportunity to kind of prove that, the defense is really good. And that was the biggest issue the Cowboys had for a while when they couldn't really win at home, was their defense just played really bad in front of their home fans. So hopefully that changes this year for the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, Eagles, what to say besides Super Bowl slump? Probably the offensive line is not going to be as good as it was last year, and that goes for Saquon, the Super Bowl MVP, and Jalen Hurts. But if someone were to win this division, and if the Eagles were to win this division again, I won't be surprised, because the Eagles were the last team to win the division consecutive years, 2002, 2003. Right? And so I wouldn't be surprised if they win the division again. Another reason why I have the Cowboys above the Eagles is defensively. Not great, not perfect defensively. Neither team really, but I think the Cowboys defense is better now. Although they don't have Micah Parsons, they do have the rookie out of Boston College, Donovan Izaruki. I don't really know how to pronounce his name, but it goes something like that. And like I said, you get those 2 first-round picks. The Eagles need an edge rusher. Someone to come off the edge. Really, I don't think anyone can replace Hassan Reddick and the season that he had with the Eagles, and Josh Sweat, even though I didn't watch many Eagles games, so I don't know if he had a great season or not, but he had a fantastic Super Bowl. He will be missed. Same thing goes for Hassan Reddick, who was left a couple of years ago from the Eagles. So nothing. It's not the offense. In my opinion, it's the defense. And the defense also puts the Commanders at 9-8. Commanders defense is pretty bad. Although, they don't have an edge rusher. Von Miller, I said this in my first episode, and I'm pretty sure I said it in my second episode. Von Miller he's not that guy. Unfortunately, he's just not as good, as some, because he's out of his prime. He was really good with the Rams, not as good with the Bills. Well, he missed a lot of time when he was with the Bills. So, it's up and down for Von Miller. Outside of the, defensive line, secondary isn't perfect. So right now, Commanders, it's not great. Yeah, not great with the Washington Commanders. So the Giants are in last place. It has nothing to do with their defense. It's more where this is kind of a floating year where we're just. I got the Giants at 3-14. It's just their schedule is the toughest in the NFL. And it's unfortunate because I really want to give this team like the benefit of the doubt, right? But I can't do it because it's, it's like one of those years where Brian Daboll and John Shine are on the hot seat. I would fire the GM. I'd keep the head coach, probably because this is going to be Jackson Dart's team soon, and it seems like he's very. I think Brian Daboll likes Jackson Dart, and the same thing goes for Jackson Dart. So, good shot that the Eagles, or excuse me, good shot that the Giants fire their GM this year. It's just because of the Saquon thing, in my opinion. The Saquon thing was too much. You know, trading away Saquon Barkley is just something that nobody, or letting him walk in free agency when he is a franchise player, and he was for you. That's not a very smart choice, not a very good choice, and I don't think a lot of people would agree with that. So basically, to summarize the NFC East, it's all about defense. The Cowboys are at the top because of defense. And in my opinion, they have the best defense right now. The Eagles have the second best defense. The Commanders have the third best defense. And the Giants have the worst offense. And they're going to have trouble against the Cowboys, Eagles, and Commanders defense. So, plus, on top of that, you have the hardest schedule in the NFL. Nothing beats that. So, yeah. Moving on to the NFC North. I did update the standings because Micah Parsons got traded. So I had to, like, the reason why I redid these, because I did do them in the middle of the summer, and I was kind of planning on sticking with what I had, but I changed it because Micah Parsons got traded, and that's obviously a blockbuster move, a move that is going to change the league and obviously change some results. But overall, Packers finished with the same record as the Cowboys. But we're going to start with the division winner, the Lions. Second year in a row they get the 1 seed. So I'm going to I talked as little about the Chargers because I don't want people to be like, oh, he's a Chargers fan, blah, blah, blah. But primarily, a lot of my listeners are Lions fans. So I'm going to talk a lot about the Lions. All right. Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's the big three. That's the players that need to have a good season if you want to have success. Jared Goff, he's the leader of the offense. He's a dog. And the entire city of Detroit loves Jared Goff. But he has to continue his consistency. He got paid. Had a great year last year, but now it's time to kind of continue that, continue to be efficient. So there's that, consistency is key here when we're talking about the Lions. It doesn't have to be the exact same as last year. I know, because 15 wins is a lot to, replicate. It's very difficult, very hard to go 17-0, especially when you play the Eagles and the Chiefs and the Ravens all on the road, plus the Bengals on the road. So it's very difficult to win all those games on the road. It's difficult to beat the Packers all the time. So consistency, right? It starts with Jared Goff, the leader of the offense. Can he get the ball to the playmakers? Can he do this, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, he's the second guy I'm going to talk about. Jahmyr Gibbs led the NFL in touchdowns last year. He had, I think, 19 touchdowns, which was the most by any running back last year, and more than Saquon, Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson, Rico Dowdle, Brian Robinson Jr., Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco. He had the most total combined touchdowns by any running back in the NFL that year, including Aaron Jones or Josh Jacobs and blah, 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 blah. All those running backs. Any running back that you can name, Jahmyr Gibbs scored more touchdowns than him last year. Even David Montgomery, because Montgomery missed a lot of time. So, and I keep mentioning that, and it feels like, I was talking to my brother the other day, and everybody's like, everybody's underrating David Montgomery. No, it's just Jahmyr Gibbs is really that good. And David Montgomery is going to be playing for a contract in a couple of years. He's going to have something to prove to the entire league. There's no doubt in my mind that he wants to stay Lion. I understand that. But Jahmyr Gibbs right now is the leader. He is the guy. As the Detroit Lions running back, that is your man right there. So that is what I think. That's my opinion on kind of Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I really shouldn't have been said Amon-Ra St. Brown because he's been consistent every year. Rarely misses games, right? That's the first thing. Rarely misses games. Plays at an incredibly high level. He's always open, and he supports his teammates. That's the kind of guy you want in the locker room. The guy that I really want to talk about is Jameson Williams. Can he do what he did last year, which was 1,000 yards? He was healthy for, I want to say, every game last year. So Jameson Williams, honestly, what we want from him is to play in every game, to be healthy, to succeed. Can he get more than 1,000 yards? Can he even be the Lions' leading receiver? I know it's, kind of a, difficult thing to do with St. Brown and Goff's relationship, but can he get over 1,000 yards? I don't know. I think he will, though. I think he can get over 1,000 yards. Receiving, can he lead the team's receiving? Probably. That's the only question mark I really have about the Lions. Also, we're going to talk about awards soon coming up. So if you hear a couple of Lions, don't be surprised. No bias there. Let's get to the defense. Aiden Hutchinson's back, and he says that he feels great in tip-top form, and just being away from the game for a while really takes a toll on you. And I can feel that. You do something every day of your life, and then it stops for a little while, and then you come back to it. And it's kind of, it's something to adjust to. And I can understand that. I can understand why he said that. The Lions defense, they drafted defensive tackle Tyleik Williams. They're going to be without Aleem McNeil for the first couple months of the season. The guy playing opposite Aiden Hutchinson is Marcus Davenport, who has injury issues, but I'm sure Kelvin Shepard can get him right. Linebacker core looks good. Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, who is playing for a contract this year. And the secondary with Terrion Arnold, led by Terrion Arnold, looks good. The only, real issue is we're already starting off with the injuries. There's no depth at corner with Eric Rakestraw getting injured. Call him Rake. So, but yeah, that's the only problem I have with Eric, with the Lions right now, is their secondary. Right, there's really not a lot of depth at that position. So, but yeah, Lions. I have them 13 wins, top of the division. Not much else to say about this team except for a really good football team. Expect them to go above and beyond. Next up, we have the Packers, and I already spoiled what I have the record being, but 10-7. 10-7. Not bad, but it definitely was an improvement from what I had. I know a lot of people are putting them at the top of the division, 12, 13, 14 wins. But I think the Packers, Micah Parsons really is going to get a reality check. I have this theory where it's Luka Doncic will never win an NBA Finals. He'll retire without a finals ring. He's going to be one of the greatest players of all time, and he won't have a finals. Micah Parsons might end up being the NFL equivalent of that. Nothing against Micah Parsons, but you played in the Cowboys for a while, and you were at Penn State. Two stables that are known for winning, but not in big games. Not known for beating teams above 500. Not known for beating teams when it matters the most. Micah Parsons never won a Big Ten championship game. Never went to the playoff. Ever. Never been to an NFC championship game. Never been to a Super Bowl. But he's been to the Pro Bowl a couple of times in his career. So he is a game changer. And this certainly does kind of change things a little bit, in my opinion. Not much, but a little bit. Okay? So there's that. He's a baller. He's a baller. Okay, Vikings and JJ McCarthy. I'm not really gonna get into kind of JJ McCarthy, what the Vikings are gonna do, or anything like that. Um, I will say I have them at 8-9. I think this is good for a first year with I know he's not a rookie quarterback, but in an essence where he's never played a regular season NFL snap, he kind of is. So I'm gonna call JJ McCarthy a rookie a couple of times, even though it's the second season in the NFL. So it's really good to see 8-9 with the quarterback, but obviously the expectation drops down because last year you had 14 wins with Sam Darnold. So what is your impression of Kevin O'Connell when he goes 7 wins differential? Six wins. When there's a 6-game differential between last year and this year, you're gonna think Sam Darnold was actually the reason why this team won. No, it was the defense. Defense lost so many pieces. They lost their secondary was really good last year. I think it was Byron Murphy who left. Cam Bynum. Those guys. Leaders on this Vikings defense. I don't see anything wrong with the Vikings offense. I think that the Vikings are going to do good, really. And McCarthy is set up for success with the offensive pieces that are around him. Offensive line is good. Running back room is good. Right? But right now, the defense is the biggest question. If the defense is good, which hopefully it is, if the defense is good, then you can succeed. If it doesn't, if it's not, then this is what you get, in my opinion. This is what it's going to be, 8-9. And some games will be won by your defense, like they were last year with the Jacksonville game. Some games will be won with your offense, which was the Green Bay game. Well, actually, I would say that's also defense as well. So I guess it's the reciprocal, really, where the Green Bay game was won by your defense, but the Jacksonville game was won by your offense because your defense really kept you in the game. All you had to do was get points. That's kind of what I think when I look at the Vikings. Okay, next up, I have Ben Johnson at the Bears at 6-11. And I know I asked some people, who do you think would have a better first year as a head coach? Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn? And when I talked about the Bears earlier, I said the Bears are scary because how do I say this? Their offense is really good. Caleb Williams, I love Luther Burden. I love all these guys, right? So the Bears are going to be good this year, without a doubt. Without a doubt, they're going to be somewhat decent. The issue I have is with the defense because it's really like, well, what are you going to do? Defensive coordinator, I don't know his name. Defensive coordinator. Here it is. It's Dennis Allen. It sounds familiar. Can he repeat the success? Can the Bears defense be good enough to where you're competing for a playoff spot? That's going to be tough because you play the Ravens, you play the Bengals, you play the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers owns you. And I wanted to pick the Bears to beat the Steelers this year, but it was kind of like Aaron Rodgers kind of beats them up every year, so probably not. Also, I think Ben Johnson is the right guy for Caleb Williams, and that the system that Ben Johnson has built around Caleb Williams is it's going to be good. It's going to work. That's what I think. So yeah, I think the offense is really good. Defense. That's where the question's at. That's where, a lot of questions are at. Can the defense be consistent? And I'm looking at it. It looks pretty good, but it's going to be tough this year. Up next, we have the NFC South. So, in the NFC South, I have the Buccaneers winning the division, the number 2 seed in the NFC. They're 13-4. And it's going to be hard to do because they have another new offensive coordinator. But really, it doesn't matter because Baker Mayfield is balling out. Baker Mayfield right now is balling out. And honestly, I would give him MVP. I would give Baker MVP. I just can't do it because it's like, I don't know. But we'll talk about that when we get there. As long as Todd Bowles continues to do what he's done with the defense, the Buccaneers are a really good football team and they're going to win this division every single year. It's very difficult to beat a Todd Bowles defense. Very difficult. So the offense looks really good. Todd Bowles' defense looks really good. Offensive line, really good. Only question that I really have is, OC. What's the OC going to look like? And that's a really good question. Who's going to be the OC? Or what's the new offense look like with the new offensive coordinator? Give me a second. Josh Grizzard. So, what does the new offense look like? Another thing about Tampa Bay, new running back, Bucky Irving. Well, he's not a new running back, but it's Bucky Irving that's taken over the starting job. Can't blame you. He looks fantastic. Rachaad White, and I feel like Rachaad White, less of a power runner, less of a guy that's going to dominate, more of a guy where we're, third down back, basically, where it's time to throw the football. I need someone right next to me in the shotgun. Let me throw the ball. He's your guy. Bucky Irving is the kind of guy that will slip between the tackles. He's a physical runner. He might be small, but he'll go right through you. Got good speed. That's the kind of guy Bucky Irving is. Yeah, 2 good running backs. Tampa Bay, in my opinion, wins the South with 13 wins. In second place, got the Falcons at 9-8. Raheem Morris has found his guy. And I feel like it's going to take him a second to start, clicking. Obviously, he's talking about it's not George Pickens, Kyle Pitts in the media often. Okay. He's talking about, I haven't heard him talk once about Bijan, Drake London, Darnell Mooney. Really haven't heard him say anything about that, but Kyle Pitts, that's going to be his guy. Tight ends are such a big part of any quarterback. That's why I love to call a tight end a quarterback's best friend. All reliable. That's what I call them because tight ends are so important to the quarterback position. It's like a massive security blanket. Brady and Gronk. Mahomes and Kelsey. Antonio Gates, Phillip Rivers. I can't remember who Peyton Manning had as his tight end, but he was pretty good as well. Whoever George Kittle plays with. Whoever throws George Kittle football. Let's say Brock Purdy and George Kittle. That'll be like the last one. So, yeah. Tight ends are essential, and Michael Penix has a good one in Kyle Pitts. Hopefully there's success there. What else do I want to say? All the fantasy football users out there, I have the number 2 pick. Who am I going to take? Jamar Chase if he's there. Bijan Robinson. Two players you take. And you can't be mad at Bijan because Michael Penix is going to want to throw the football. That's what they did at Washington all the time. Well, I won't say all the time. They were a pretty run-heavy team, too, for certain games. But Michael Penix loves to, toss that thing. He loves to throw the ball. So, third place, I got the Panthers at 4-13. I don't know why I guess it's their defense, really. Defense wins championships. That's the success that the Bills, that the Patriots had for so long. It was success, and they had success through their passing game. Or through their defense, So, Buccaneers have the best defense in their division. Lions have the best defense in their division. The Cowboys have the best defense in their division. The West, I feel, is a little different. It's a little different. But the same thing goes in the AFC with the Texans, with the Ravens, the Bills. Defense wins championships. Best defense wins the division unless you're in the West. So what does that say about the Panthers here? Well, Bryce Young will have a couple of good games. But at the end of the day, you hire an offensive-minded head coach. A head coach that's going to help Bryce Young develop into a really good quarterback. So that means that, your defense, you need a defensive-minded head coach. Or else they're not going to succeed as much as you think. So I got the Panthers at 4-13. Bryce Young will have a couple of good games, and I think he'll keep his spot because this will not be his fault. It won't be his fault. Unless he goes for something stupid like he throws 26 touchdowns, 20 interceptions. Something like that, then he's probably going to get replaced. But I like Bryce Young, man. I've liked him since, I think, his last year, second to last year that he was at Alabama. Great quarterback, in my opinion. Next up, got the Saints at 3-14, last place in the division. In case you were wondering, this is the team with the number 1 overall pick, and they will take a quarterback with that pick. Will take a quarterback. Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck are not your options. Derek Carr was supposed to be your quarterback, which is not great, but he was supposed to be the guy, and then he retired. So he left you in this quarterback position. Maybe he thought he was going to get replaced by the second-round pick. Who knows? So my question is, what about this team do I like? I like Alvin Kamara. That's about it. Tyler Shuck is not the guy, but if he plays well, you're probably going to keep him, trade that number 1 pick. Move down a couple spots, but I don't like much about the Saints except for Alvin Kamara. That's it. I don't like anything else on the Saints except for Alvin Kamara. Moving on to the West, this was a little tricky. I got the 49ers at 12-5. They're the 3 seed in the NFC. The reason why is because they have an easy schedule this year because they were really bad last year. Okay, that's fine. They improved although they did lose a lot of pieces in the draft, the defense, in my opinion, doesn't look that bad. Because if the Niners defense is just really bad, pack it up, shut it down, start the rebuild. But I don't think they're going to do that. You have a lot of rookies out here. I think that they're going to give a lot of these rookies a shot to be the guy. So the defense is young and learning. The best way to do that is with like easy opponents. So through the preseason, easier opponents. So you're not playing a difficult schedule like the Giants. Really couldn't think of anyone else but the Giants. And 12 wins is really good. Offense is good. Defense, yeah, it's a work in progress. Okay, so up next we have the Los Angeles Rams at 11-6. Why the Rams at 11-6? Well, this is obviously the best defense in the division, in my opinion. I think this all hinges on Matt Stafford. I didn't have the Rams winning the division initially. I think I had them with a worse record, so somehow I think I had them like at 10-7 or something like that. Or maybe I did have them at 12-5 and just I don't remember it, but it's okay. Their defense is really good. We just don't know about Stafford. Like, will he play all 17? It's a big question mark. Will he play all 17? Will there be some games where he sits out? He had the bye week for the Rams, week 8. So it's a huge question mark for the Rams right now. If you're, kind of, Sean McVay, the Rams, I think that's the biggest issue. Also, there might be Stafford might have a problem because he's not throwing to Cooper Kupp anymore. It's strictly Puka Nacua, and that worked for the first 4 games of 23, I think it was. 2023? 2025 might be different. I do like Devontae Adams. I do, but I don't believe in the Rams right now. I guess that's the best way I can say it. I don't trust that Stafford will play all 17. So there's that. I have the Seahawks at 8-9. I do think the Seahawks can get to 500. There's a good chance that I can, maybe work that out. But good chance that the Seahawks can get to 500. What else do I want to say about this team? Mike McDonald, really good coach, defensive-minded coach. So that's not really going to help. Although when they hand the ball off a couple of, like all the time during the game, that also helps. But the question is, can K9 and Zach Charbonnet stay healthy? 2 really good backs. Can those 2 stay healthy? Sam Darnold, will the offensive line be good enough for him to get that ball out to guys like Cooper Kupp, JSN? No TK Metcalf. That's going to hurt. But the defense, in my opinion, is really good. They, defensively, they have a chance to win the division if it was just based off of defense. But it's not. And I think the quarterback play has to be what Sam Darnold did last year, which is just above, beyond and really good. So I think that has to happen for the Seahawks to win the division. It has to be really good. It has to be perfect. The Cardinals. I have the Cardinals finishing at 5-12. I don't have a good reason. They hired John Gannon. Hopefully he can help Kyler Murray. I don't see it working out with the Cardinals schedule-wise or roster-wise. I don't really like their defense. But the offense can show some bright spots. It's like the Panthers where Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison will have good games. They just won't win all of them. And what I mean by that is they won't win every single game they play. There's going to be some rough ones, especially when you play teams inside your own division. So there's that. Okay, so if you are keeping track, I'm just going to remind you right here, right now. We're moving on into the postseason. So the Bills, I have as the number 1 seed in the AFC, followed by the Chiefs as a 2 seed. The Ravens are the 3 seed. The Texans are the 4 seed. The Broncos are the 5 seed. Bengals are the 6 seed. And the Chargers are the 7 seed. In the NFC, we have the Lions. They are the 1 seed. We're receiving the bye. The Buccaneers are the 2 seed. They will host a playoff game. So will the 49ers and Cowboys, 3 and 4. The Rams are 5. The Packers are 6. And the Eagles are 7. Okay, so playoffs. Before we get to like the draft order and NFL awards, we got to talk playoffs. Playoff-wise. First round, Texans, Broncos. I'm going to take the Broncos. Chargers, Chiefs. Chiefs. Ravens, Bengals, Ravens. Yeah. NFC-wise, Buccaneers, Eagles. I'm going to take the Eagles. Cowboys, Rams, and Niners, Packers. I'm going to take the Packers. Okay, so now we move into the divisional round with the Broncos and Bills leading things off. I'm going to take the Bills. Chiefs, Ravens. I'm going to take the Chiefs. Lions, Eagles. I'm going to take the Lions. Rams, Packers. Bills, Chiefs, and an AFC Championship game. Chiefs. Lions, Packers, NFC Championship game. Lions beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Lions are your 2025 Super Bowl champions. It's going to be hard. But I looked at this Lions team and I said, the talent is there. This team is going to be really good because the talent is there. The coordinators found ways to maximize the talent on this team, and it's not impossible for you to do that because of how talented this team is. With Goff and Gibbs and Brown and Williams and Laporta and the offensive line, how good that unit is. Hutch, Davenport, McNeil, Williams, Rodrigo, Jack Campbell, Anzalone, Terrion Arnold. Eric Rokestraw is out for the year, so he won't be playing. DJ Reed, Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch. The talent on this team is crazy. Please don't ask me why I know basically every player on the Lions, or at least all their 22 starters. I don't know why. But last year, I said if the Lions and the Chiefs played in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs would win. And this is not biased because the Lions didn't have a good defense last year. Late into the postseason, it was depleted. The secondary wasn't very good. The pass rush wasn't getting there. And so they lost where they lost. And they deserve to lose where they lose because their defense wasn't 100%. If it is, Super Bowl champs. Okay, 2 more things before we wrap up the episode. I know it's long enough. I am going to drop some excerpts of today's episode. So one section, another section, stuff like that. So I'm going to start with the NFL awards. The winner of this year's MVP award, I originally had it Lamar Jackson. I changed my mind. Baker Mayfield. It's a good chance Joe Burrow also wins MVP. So he would be my second favorite, and Lamar Jackson would probably be my third, Allen my fourth. Jaden Daniels doesn't make the list. And Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen would be somewhere on that list. Giving it to Baker Mayfield is because I have the Buccaneers being the 2 seed, 13 wins, doing a lot of good things. So that's kind of why I give this to Baker. And I said I would give it to him. I didn't give it to him. It was supposed to go to Lamar. Switch up at the last second. Give it to Baker. The NFL award for Offensive Player of the Year goes to Jamar Chase. So Joe Burrow, in my opinion, finishes second in the MVP voting, and Jamar Chase is a big part of that. And Jamar Chase wins Offensive Player of the Year because of that. Honestly, he should have won it last year because he was the Triple Crown winner, but I understand he didn't win it because Saquon Barkley had an insane season, breaking the rushing record, and so you kind of got to pick something that, could happen again versus something that may never, ever happen again. So I get it, but this is Jamar Chase's year. Nobody's taking this award from him. The award. So that's why I give it to Jamar Chase. The award for Defensive Player of the Year, it goes to Aiden Hutchinson. Lions are Super Bowl champions. You got to have a couple of award winners on that team. Aiden Hutchinson, who was supposed to win Defensive Player of the Year last year, he didn't. And if he was in the running and if he played that full 17 games, Lions beat the Eagles, beat the Chiefs, make it to the Super Bowl, and they win it. He didn't, though. And if he was healthy, he would have won Defensive Player of the Year. He wasn't healthy, and that didn't happen. But things change. And Aiden Hutchinson, if he plays a healthy 17-game season, racks up about, what Myles Garrett did when he won it, I'd probably settle at 18.5. He wins Defensive Player of the Year. Now, this is a new award, and I'm happy that it's a new award. Shout out to my boy Cody. Protector of the Year award. Got some dogs in the O-line. I want to give it to Penei Sewell. And it's not because no one else in the league is really good. Would have went to Quinn Myers last year because of how good he was. This year, I think it goes to Penei Sewell. They use him, and the Lions use him a lot. But he's really good at the pass pro. You rarely see Penei Sewell get beat by anybody. And I think he wins this award because he plays the Packers twice, which means he's going to face Micah Parsons twice. Line Micah Parsons up against Penei Sewell, he won't be able to do anything. It's like a dog on a leash. Dog's not going anywhere. Okay. The winner for the Offensive Rookie of the Year is Travis Hunter. This is because, no bias, this is because the Jaguars have 10 wins. It should probably go to Cam Ward or Ashton Gentry, but they didn't have good seasons, so they're not up here. And yeah, yeah, really good. And the reason why I have Travis Hunter winning Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, is because he's going to be playing more offense than he is defense this year. So that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, Defensive Rookie of the Year, I want to change my pick as well. But it could be a couple. Originally, I put down Abdul Carter. But if the Cowboys are going to win the division, if my predictions are going to be 100% accurate, then it's going to be Donovan Izariaku. Hopefully I said that right. Second round pick out of Boston College. He's got to step in. Basically, he's going to step into the Micah Parsons role, play that defensive edge, stuff like that. If the Cowboys are going to win the division, this kid that they drafted with their second round pick kind of has to step up. Another person that you would expect to win this position is, like I said, Abdul Carter. But you can also expect to see Maxwell Hairston out there trying to win this award. So those would probably be my three nominees. Probably Abdul Carter, Maxwell Hairston, Donovan from the Cowboys. Probably my three options. Okay, and the final award I'm going to hand out is Coach of the Year to Sean Payton. Took the Broncos to the number 5 seed, 12 wins. If there was another coach that I would have to pick to win Coach of the Year, it'd probably be Kyle Shanahan. If not Kyle Shanahan, Brian Schottenheimer, because they won their division, but not a playoff game. So that's probably the avenues I would go. Or Matt LaFleur, because he took his team down the road as well. So probably those would be my nominees as well. LaFleur, Schottenheimer, and the overall winner, Sean Payton. Okay, last thing. The draft order. No questions asked. We're going to talk about the top 5 and then just give you the rest. So the Saints have the number 1 overall pick. I think the Saints take a quarterback. It is, I think they do. Tyler Shuck, unless he has like a really good end to the season and he wins the job from Spencer Rattler, you're probably taking a quarterback. That quarterback's probably going to be Arch or Lenore Sellers. I think Arch stays in college. Lenore Sellers probably going to be number 1 overall pick. The Tennessee Titans, you probably take a wide receiver here. If you don't take a wide receiver, probably build on that defense. So TJ Parker, Peter Wood, something like that. The Browns drafted a quarterback. I think right now you probably draft a quarterback. So whichever one the Saints don't take, you probably take them. The Giants, you already have a quarterback. This is where you take an offensive lineman. Caden Proctor out of Alabama. This is where he goes. And then the Panthers at 5. Panthers really need defense. So they probably take a defensive, I want to say defensive edge, someone to replace Brian Burns. So they probably take, one of the two. TJ Parker, Peter Woods. If not one of those two, probably Patrick Payton out of LSU. And then the rest of the list goes like this. It goes Patriots have the 6th pick, Raiders have the 7th pick, Cardinals have the 8th pick, Bears have the 9th pick, Jets have the 10th pick, Colts have the 11th pick, Seahawks have the 12th pick, Vikings have the 13th pick, the Rams have the 14th pick because they got it in a trade with the Falcons. The Dolphins have the 15th pick, the Steelers have the 16th pick, the Commanders have the 17th pick, the Browns pick again at pick 18 because of the trade they made last year with the Jaguars. Cowboys are pick 19, Texans are pick 20, Bengals are pick 21, Chargers are pick 22, 49ers are pick 23, Bucks are pick 24, Eagles are pick 25, Rams are pick 26, Broncos are pick 27, Ravens are pick 28, Cowboys are pick 29. They get this pick because of the Micah Parsons trade from the Packers. Bills are pick 30, Chiefs are pick 31, and the Lions, the Super Bowl champs, pick 32, picking last of the draft. Knowing Brad Holmes, probably going to trade up, take the player that he wants ahead of somebody else. Okay. Those are my predictions. Not, this is my opinion. If you have your own opinion, feel free to leave a comment down below. This was a long episode, and I didn't want it to be part of yesterday's episode. I wanted it to be, it's kind of its own thing. I didn't want it to be this really long episode where it was going on for 3 hours. No, I wanted this episode to be its own episode because so many people have asked me about the NFL, and I'm interested, I'm invested, I'm excited. So I'm glad I was able to share this, season predictions episode with you guys. So leave a like, subscribe. There's going to be more content coming out. We got weekend predictions coming up tomorrow. Actually Friday. This is being recorded on Wednesday. So if I say tomorrow, it's probably going to get posted on Thursday. So probably either tomorrow or Friday, depending on when I get this out. So, but yes, this is, what I want to do. I want to make good content. So leave a like, leave a comment. Today was a great episode. I always enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for listening to The Jackson Show. And as always, bring a friend.